he was concerned or is concerned that that there's a lack of perhaps ideological direction in Black Lives Matter that would allow it to be to fizzle out, as he said, in comparison to Occupy Wall Street. As you are advanced in your own organization, as you all are headed to Cleveland to participate in this Black Lives movement conference, how do you respond to that particular critique? Again, a loving critique from an elder of the struggle that some others share, that I've even shared as well, to be frank, is a concern about, in part because of the co-optation and the appropriation, that a more clear ideological structuring might be of some value here. But how do you respond to those kinds of, again, loving criticism?
I think that the criticism is helpful. I also think that it might. Um, I think of a lot of things. The first thing I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super uh, versed on sort of ideological theories.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all acknowledgement, all credit to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and giving double honors and much respects unto the men in whom I learned this truth from, beginning at the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. All right, and though I've been not a part of any camps, I learned and I studied under the doctrine of Great Millstone. All right, and the clip I just played was matter of fact, let me go back. This clip,
He was concerned, or
it was basically going into an interview with one of the co-founders of this whole Black Lives Matter movement, one of the co-founders, Patrice Cullors. And this guy, he's asking her a question. Basically, he's trying to because the whole idea with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, you know, there's some people out there that think that this whole movement is just a movement that can pretty much, it has no type of organized structure or no type of just basically no type of structure, no type of foundation that can basically, it can, spiral into anything, and this guy, he's pretty much from another individual, who deals with the whole, movement of so-called African American, just basically an elder from another, Black Rise, type of deal, and he's basically, um, quoting this criticism, or this critique that this gentleman from another, guess you could say, because I think that the guy that he's talking about, he's from a Black Panthers movement, ex Black Panther or something like that. Because time and time out we see these movements come up dealing with so-called black people, so-called African Americans coming together, um, and typically it leads nowhere. So that he's pretty much just bringing up this point, this point from another gentleman who's been involved with these movements, and he's asking this again. This Patrice Cullors, she's one of the co-founders of the Black Lives movement, Black Lives Matter movement, and she pretty much just admitted that, in fact, that this Black Lives Matter movement is, in fact, it comes from some type of ideology, ideology, you know, some type of principle, and she actually admitted that, she studies Marxism, all right, which is pretty much what I want to touch on in this lesson. Yahweh Ratazah, you're edified, because I've pretty much been studying this all day, and it's pretty much some very interesting points, dealing with this, what I've been looking into. So the point of me playing this video is to show that, from the horse's mouth, again, this chick, Patrice Cullors, she's one of the co-founders of this Black Lives Matter. Right? She admitted that she, as well as others, they study Marxism. Matter of fact, before I play the next video and before I get into any more, before I get into the precepts, I'm going to play it again. She admitted.
Criticism.
I think that the criticism is helpful. I also think that it might, I think of a lot of things. The first thing I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists.
So you see, she admitted, as well as others, that they're trained in these things. They study these things, all right. But again, if you when you study pretty much the because this whole thing with Marxism, comes from this guy by the name of I think his name is Karl Marx. And again, that's what I kind of want to touch on in this video, because again, this whole Black Lives Matter movement, it's pretty much, it goes into witchcraft. All right, it's another one of Esau's tools, that he's thrown out there, and another one of the tricks in his bag, because it's no big secret that George Soros, he funds these movements, like Black Lives Matter and Antifa. It's no secret, So again, before I get into the the precepts, I want to play some of this next video, this next clip.
Hey y'all, Ammunition here. This is a compilation of clips from many videos that I've watched featuring the founders of Black Lives Matter, along with one of the founders' biggest influencers, Angela Davis. Please like and subscribe.
I've been frequently asked it. Angela, tell me how. I have been frequently asked this. We've received letters, fans of Angela Davis, and some brothers and sisters don't understand your concept of communism. They don't understand, they cannot, let's say, reconcile blackness and communism. What is your philosophy in that respect?
Well, first of all, I think that black people, particularly black youth and brown youth, are beginning to see through the lies and distortions of the government, and are beginning to see that much of what has been said about communism in this country is simply not true. The reason I am a communist is because I feel that only through a total revolution, which is going to overthrow the capitalist control of the economy, which will seize the wealth from all of the giant corporations that exploit and control the lives of all working people, but particularly black people.
Okay, so before I play this clip, again, this whole foundation pretty much when you look into Marxist, again, it goes, when you study this guy Karl Marx, that's where this ideology comes from, right? And basically, what this I believe it was an Edomite. I had to fact check that, but basically, what this guy believed in, basically, to sum it all up, the whole rich and the poor, all right, the oppressed and the oppressors, all right, this ideology, it comes from basically because like she just said, they believe in a system of basically the oppressed overthrowing the oppressors, all right. And again, because it's a lot when it comes to this topic dealing with Marxism, all right. And typically when these things do happen, I think she mentioned it, but a lot of times, because the people with this type of mindset, they believe in revolution, and they believe in revolution through violence, all right. So pretty much that's how this where this whole ideology, this is where it's based off the idea of the oppressed overthrowing the oppressors, by all means necessary, basically. And a lot of times, through violence. That's what they believe in. All right. So just play some more of this because it's pretty interesting. I'm not gonna play this whole video, but it's pretty interesting.
Over the next months and years, we will be called upon to intensify our demands for social justice, to become more militant in our defense of.
So you see, no, because I believe this is the same woman. All right, they believe in taking up arms and again, basically, overthrowing the rich, overthrowing the oppressors.
Vulnerable populations, those who still defend the supremacy of white male heteropatriarchy had better watch out.
Black Lives Matter began as a love note that I wrote on Facebook. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's got to be a part of a nonprofit organization. Doesn't mean everybody's got to martyr themselves for the cause. But what it does mean is that you use your brilliance, your skills, your talents, and your resources to make life better for people, not just for yourself. Yeah, so that's the role for young people. And then, where does all this stuff come from? Capitalism.
So you see that? Again, this is Alicia Garza. She's another one of the co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement. All right, because again, they believe in these things, communism and capitalism. They believe in these things. All right, there's a number of interviews that these that they do, pretty much touching on it.
And before you call me a raving socialist, which many of you will, it's just a fact. When you have an economic system that profits off of people.
And see.
So you see the whole, again, it just goes back to the oppressors overthrowing the oppressed overthrowing the oppressors. Basically the poor overthrowing the rich.
I feel that the reason why racism is so blatant and has been a part of the history of black people from the time we were first kidnapped from the shores of Africa is because it has helped those capitalists gain more and more profit.
So the first time I read Karl Marx, and I know some people...
So you see that? Karl Marx. That's where this whole Marxist, theology comes from. That's where they, that's where they get this whole, they're pretty much the whole foundation. That's where they get the foundation from. They study these things like Karl Marx. Again, when you look into Karl Marx, he believed in a system, where again, where you have two different classes of people, right? The rich, they're profiting off the poor, and again, that basically they believe in the poor overthrowing the rich, and a lot of times, they believe in doing so in violence. And again, here she is admitting that, they studied these theologies. All right, so bear with me, because again, I'm going to get into the precepts, so just bear with me.
Are you a communist? Okay, just get it out. The first time I read Karl Marx was in a sociology class at the university that I went to. And I learned Karl Marx completely devoid of any context.
Isn't that ironic?
It was so strange. And I was like, why am I reading this? I don't understand what he's saying. I don't understand what the point of this is. And how do I get my grade so I can get out of this class? Right? But when I know y'all know this. But when I started to understand the role that Marxism had played inside of social movements, I was like, oh, now I understand what he's talking about.
It's certainly not address all of the burning questions. And when I look at the work that Patrice and her comrades have done over the last years.
When you talk about racism and capitalism, you often write and speak about how they are intimately connected and talk about a world that you envision.
Yeah, racism is integrally linked to capitalism, and I think it's a mistake to assume that we can combat racism by leaving capitalism in place. As Cedric Robinson pointed out in his book, Black Marxism, capitalism is racial capitalism.
And the appropriation that are more clear ideological.
So yeah, in this clip, I just, I played that in the beginning. But yeah, so you see where this whole thing with this whole Black Lives Matter movement, pretty much basically where it stems from. It stems from Marxism. All right. And at the end of the day, it all goes back to witchcraft. And again, it's another tool, Esau has up his sleeves, to basically, catch a lot of Jake, get a lot of Jake involved in this thing. All right. Because, one thing about, when it comes to witchcraft, people think that it's this, like some Harry Potter type deal where, you're spinning a wand and whatever the case may be, where when actually, basically when you really look into witchcraft, it's basically just, the use of words. All right. And again, because that's how Esau, that's how he does a lot of his deception, through smooth words, because like I said, been looking into this topic pretty much all day, and just want to touch on this a little bit, because again, this whole movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, it's not but witchcraft to get a lot of you, Jakes involved, which a lot of you, is going to end up being your demise. So I just want to touch on some of this a little bit. Just dealing with this witchcraft. The witchcraft or witchery, it says, and I just just type Wikipedia, witchcraft or Wikipedia. It says witchcraft or witchery is this practice of magical skills, spells, and abilities. Witchcraft is a broad term that varies culturally in societality, and thus can be difficult to define with precision. All right, now, again, because witchcraft, again, is not some, spinning some stick around and, different colors, pop out or what, again, what they show in the movies like Harry Potter and all that. It's basically, how you use your words. Peer pressure is a form of witchcraft. When you go to the etymology of that word, spells. Bear with me. Now, when you go to the etymology of the word spell, all right, it says Old English spell, story, saying, tale, history, narrative, fable. Now, well, let me read on. It says discourse, command, from Proto-Germanic spellium, compared Old Saxon spell, Old Norse. Let me just jump down. Gothic spell, report, discourse, tale, fable, myth. All right, so you see, read on down. From 1200, as an utterance, something said, a statement, remark, meaning set of words with supposed magical or occult powers. Incantation, charm. So you see, basically, it's the use of words. How you use your words. If you say the right thing, you could basically, you could become very convincing. You could, if you use your words right, you could convince someone to pretty much do anything. Have someone under your will. That's witchcraft. All right. Now that word fable, it reminds me of, because these are the things that the Lord, we've been warned of, right? When it comes to these fables and these, these basically these false doctrines coming up. This whole Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, it's no different. All right. It's not but witchcraft to basically, cast this spell on you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, because, best believe a lot of you are going to get caught up in that whole Black Lives Matter movement. All right. And, eventually, like what you see with the whole Grandmaster Jay and that whole ordeal, people bearing up arms and marching, with their guns and their rifles. All right. Again, because this is just another ploy for Esau, another trick in his bag that he's thrown out there to get a lot of you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians caught up, just to give, him the more reason to come against you. All right. But when you go to 1 Timothy's, what is that? 4 and 7. It says, but refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather than godliness. I don't think that's what I wanted, but let me see what that word says. There's a definition here. Fables. Oh, so you see that? Mythos. Doesn't want to play. Mythos. All right, doesn't want to play. So let's just. So you see, a speech, word, saying, a narrative, story, a true narrative, a fiction of fable, an invention of falsehood. So you see that?
Strong's G 3454. Muthos.
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 and again, it's basically a myth, you know, because again, what are they trying to push with the whole Black Lives Matter movement? You know, black people, so-called black people, you know, coming together to stand against, you know, the oppressors. You know, you got this guy Grandmaster Jay. He, you know, he's admitting that, you know, basically that they believe in violence. All right, and again, you know, you see them walking around with their guns, their rifles. All right, because again, you know, this is just another ploy, you know, for Esau to get the people riled up, you know, because again, you know, Esau, they want all hell to break loose. You know, they want chaos to ensue so they can come in with their martial law and their troops and, you know, basically come against you Jakes, you know. But again, you know, it's because it's one of those things, you know, this whole Black Lives Matter movement, you know, telling, you know, Jake to, you know, pretty much telling Jake what they want to hear and you know, to get, you know, get us to come together to stand up and fight against the common enemy. You know, those are soothing words. You know, those are the words we want to hear. You know, for the most part, Jake wants to hear hear those things, and you know, especially in light of with everything that's going on in police brutality and, you know, Jake, they want to hear these things, and you know, they want to, you know, because you know, for the most part, you know, Jake likes to be wicked and violent. You know, so again, you know, this whole Black Lives Matter movement, you know, is again, you know, I mean, basically at the end of the day, it goes back to witchcraft. All right, let me go back into this definition. You know, this history of witchcraft, because again, you know, that's all this whole Black Lives Matter movement. It's not but witchcraft. All right, you know, and that's exactly what these with casting all these these spells on these Jakes, you know, through their smooth words, you know. We just jump down. Bear with me. Okay, so you see, like spell casting, you know, you see how it ties into to witchcraft, because again, you know, what they show you as witchcraft, it's not the whole spinning of the wand and all that, you know, wearing the capes and the hats and all that, you know. When you read, it says probably the most widely known characteristic of a witch was the ability to cast a spell. Spell being the word used to signify the means employed to carry out a magical action. A spell could it consist of a set of words. So you see that it's just a use of words. You know, to cast a spell is just how you use your words. You know, because like I said, you know, you at the you know, if you use your words right, you know, you can pretty much you know, control an individual just how you use your words. You know, you can have that, you know, individual wrapped around your fingers. You know, it says a spell could. I already read that. Well, it says a spell could consist of a set of words, a formula or verse, or a ritual action, or any combination of these. Spells traditionally were cast by many methods, such as by the inscription of runes or sigils on an object to give that object magical powers, by the immolation or binding of a wax or clay image of a person to affect them magically, by the recitation of incantations, by the performance of physical rituals, by the employment of magical herbs. All right, all that's nonsense. Well, it's not nonsense, but it's irrelevant to the point I'm trying to make. So that, I think that's it on that. And so yeah, that's pretty much over here where it says witchcraft, feminism, and media. So you see how feminism, it ties into witchcraft, because what have they been pushing, you know, over the years? You know, feminism and women's rights and liberties, right? Women being equal to or greater than men, you know. that ties into witchcraft. I'm gonna read some of this, or I might read all of it. It says Wiccan and neo-Wiccan literature has been described as aiding the empowerment of young women through its lively portrayal of female protagonists. Part of the recent growth in neo-pagan religions has been attributed to the strong media presence of fictional works such as Charmed, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Harry Potter series with their deceptions of pop culture. Positive witchcraft. So you see how they try to, because real quick, there's no such thing as positive witchcraft. Any form of witchcraft is supposed to be, shut down. When you go to Exodus, 22 and 18, it tells you, just read it. Exodus 22 and 18, it says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." So you see, any form of witchcraft is supposed to be, shut down completely. Anyone, that's dabbling in witchcraft, they're supposed to be put to death according to the law. All right, but through Esau's through his media, all right, his propaganda, and everything he's put out through witchcraft, all right, they're able to pretty much popularize it, and that's why over the years, you have a lot of women, especially the so-called black women, they've been leaving the church, all right, and they've been get into the whole witchcraft thing, the witchcraft scene, the Wiccan, because again, I'm gonna get it later, in Genesis, that whole contract with Esau and Eve. I'm getting into that later, but because that's basically what it goes into, with the whole system, with the system with the welfare system, where a woman can get benefits with a woman can get benefits as long as she puts the man out. She doesn't have a man, all right. Because again, Esau pushes the narrative that women, they can sleep around with multiple men, and basically they could do everything that a man can do, and they can do it better, so again, well, let me just read on. I don't want to jump the gun. It says, based on a mass media case study done, Mass Media and Religious Identity, a case study of young witches. In the result of the case study, it was stated the reasons many young people are choosing to self-identify as witches and belong to groups they define as practicing witchcraft is diverse. However, the use of pop culture with witchcraft in various media platforms can be the spark of interest for young people to see themselves as witches. So you see, through Esau's witchcraft, that's why Eve, she's she indulges in this witchcraft. It says widespread accessibility to related material through internet media such as chat rooms and forums is also thought to be driving this development, which is dependent on one's accessibility to those media resources and material to influence their thoughts and views on religion. So you see, because the words are powerful, man. They say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words are never. Listen, that's a lie. That's a false fable. Words are very powerful. Words are spirits. And it, again, through Esau's use of words, through his witchcraft, he's put it into the minds of these women, they can basically, they don't need a man. They can basically, Esau pushes the narrative of doing away with Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Basically, that's what it comes to at the end of the day. All right. It says Wiccan beliefs or pop culture variations thereof are often considered by adherents to be compatible with liberal ideas such as the Green Movement, and particularly with some varieties of feminism, by providing young women with what they see as a means for self-empowerment, control of their own lives, and potentially a way of influencing the world around them. So you see that? Let me just read on. It says, this is the case particularly in North America due to the strong presence of feminist ideas in some branches of the neo-pagan communities. So you see, because again, when you go back to the Genesis, I'll go ahead and get it now. What is that? Genesis 3:1. It says, "Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh thy power had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden." So this serpent, okay, not gonna get into the whole breakdown, but it's going into that same spirit that's in Esau today. When you go to Revelations, it says it talks about that old serpent. All right, and this is basically this is Esau. All right, this is the spirit of Esau. All right, before he was Esau, before he was reincarnated as Esau, this is that same spirit, that same spirit of Cain. All right, this is that old serpent, because even in the beginning he was subtle. He was very crafty and cunning. He was very smooth with his words. He's always had that characteristic. All right, real quick, when you go to the beginning of Esau, Jacob and Esau, Genesis 25, Genesis 25, I started verse 27, and it says, now again, when you read the history, the beginning of Jacob and Esau, right? Esau, Jacob and Esau. I'll just start at verse 25. It says, 27. It says, "And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents." So the point I want to get out of that scripture, that verse, is where it says he was a cunning hunter. All right. So you see, because Esau, he knows how to he knows how to get you. All right. He's a cunning hunter. That includes man and beast. All right, he knows how to set those traps and set those snares, and he knows how to how to get you, whether it be through his weapons of war or through his words, because at the end of the day, it all goes back to witchcraft. So going back to, and this is how he was able to beguile Eve. Going back to Genesis 3, starting at verse 2, it says, "And then woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for the Most High doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil." So you see, this is how, I'm just gonna say Esau, this serpent Esau, he was able to beguile Eve. And again, I'm not going to get into the whole history, but that fruit that, she was dabbling, she got involved in, different philosophies and things of that nature, in verse 6, it says, "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat." So you see, again, this is how she was able to, this is how that spirit of Esau, he was able to beguile Eve, through basically witchcraft, through the use of his words. All right, convinced her, hey, you can, basically, basically, feminism, basically, because what you see going on now with this whole uprising with women and whatnot, it's pretty much the same thing. This serpent, how he beguiled Eve. Feminism, basically. Where you don't need a man, and basically you can do bad all by yourself, and things of that nature. All right, this goes back to this whole Black Lives Matter movement. It goes back to this covenant that Esau made with Eve. So yeah, trying to think of this precept. But yeah, at the end of the day, damn, I'm trying to think of this precept, but because we're living in times, and we're living in a society, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian woman, even more so the so-called Black woman, um, they want, they want those benefits, they want the goods, you know, um, and this is why, for the most part, um, under Esau, our own women, they become like our biggest enemy, real quick in Second Ezra 9, and I'll start at verse 9. It says, "Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments." Yeah, because what you so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American Indian women, you have that mindset of being a liberal and being a feminist. What you're gonna understand soon, because the scriptures, they tell us not to ever trust our enemies. And when you read the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter, when it talks about the enemies of the Most High, Esau, he's at the top of the list. All right, and there's different scriptures and precepts that go into how like how the gifts destroy their hearts, because again, a lot of you women, you basically took the bait. But what you fail to realize is, Esau, he can't be trusted, and so very soon, this pact this covenant that you made with Esau, your daddy Esau, is going to come back to bite you. All right, and a lot of you women are going to get left out there, defenseless and by yourself. There's a lot of heavy judgments coming to you, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian women, especially you so-called Black women. All right, that's why I said in verse 9, I'll read it again. It says, "Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways." Because again, now again, a lot of you women, you really believe that you don't need a man for anything, that you can do bad all by yourself. You really believe that you can sleep with multiple men and do all these things, and that's why you're getting like a small glimpse of that now, where women are starting to catch judgment. And a lot of people, they don't have no pity. They don't feel bad for you, because you have cast off the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You don't want to be under subjection to a man. You don't want to be under that natural order. The natural order that Yahweh Shem Yahushai has set up. Women being under men. So you took the bait, because again, ultimately, the Lord said he would do this. When you go to Jeremiah 31 and 22, it tells you, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." So you see, it's all set up through the Spirit, because again, you women, you really think that you don't need Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and you don't need the men, that he set up, so again, this is why, he's allowing this thing, talking about the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, he's allowing this thing to go on, to basically, he's going to show a point, that you do need a man, because there's another precept, I can't think of it right now, but it talks about how a man shall be let's see if I can find that real quick. The stage is being set. Where's that scripture? A man shall be I think it's in Jeremiah. Was it Isaiah? Bear with me. Damn, where's that at, man? Oh, there it is. All right, so Isaiah 32 and 2, it says, "And a man shall be as in hiding place from the wind, in a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land." So basically, the stage is being set to where Yahweh Bashim Yoshai, he's gonna cause all this chaos to ensue and overtake this planet. And he's gonna show you women that you do in fact need a man. Because again, it's gonna be through a man of the Lord. That's gonna be your ticket to salvation, basically. All right, even in the ancient world, a woman, she was either protected or saved through either her father or her husband. All right, because again, that's just the natural order that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua set up. But again, Esau has put it into your minds that you don't need a man, to do away with Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, do away with his laws, his statutes and commandments. All right, and all you got to do is pretty much, well, matter of fact, go back to it in 2nd Ezra 9th chapter. I read from verse 10. It says, "For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me." So you see, you prefer to do away with your own man and cast down your own man just for some benefits, because again, the whole thing with the what's it called, the welfare, you get these benefits, all you got to do is pretty much not deal with a man, not have a man around, and we'll give you these benefits, and a lot of you, again, you took the bait, but again, this whole thing, it all goes back to witchcraft. When you study, Marxism, because again, I heard about that. I saw this. I saw this video. I'm gonna go back to it. I saw this video, and Spirit just prompted me to look into that, though, this whole thing with Marxism. But again, through witchcraft, because what you gotta understand is anything, set up by women, it causes nothing but confusion, and the Lord is, as the scriptures say, he's not the author of confusion, so from on a deeper level, we have the understanding on what Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is doing, but to those that don't know, it's going to be in for a rude awakening, because again, you really have a lot of jakes out here putting their trust in this whole Black Lives Matter movement, and they really think that, because again, we see these things time in and time out over the years, so-called black people rising up, to stand against the oppressor, but again, these things, they're nothing but psyops. They're funded by the elites. Like I said, it's no secret or mystery. This whole Black Lives Matter movement is funded by George Soros. So again, probably end it off on this when you go to 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says that Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Because we know and understand that Esau, he's going to use this to come against us. That whole Black Lives Matter movement, it's nothing but one of his tools. Witchcraft. So that's all I had on that. Again, Yahweh Ratazah, you edified. Once again, giving all acknowledgement and all credit to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And double honors, much respects to the men in whom I learned this truth from, beginning with the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. Until next time, I say shalom.